We're going to pull up the next-gen stats to look at 10 trendy wide receivers for Week 10 to help you find players off the waiver wire, help you find players to trade for, to help you with your confirmation bias. Also, players you may want to dump, players you may want to hold on tightly to, and everything else. We're just here to look at the trends to help you with your teams, but you do need to click that subscribe button right now. Tap it with your finger on your phone. Click it with the mouse on your computer. We're going to help you with the waiver wire. We're going to deep dive that, find those lesser known prospects, go over the information. You sift through it, see what you want to do with those players. We're going to help you win those trades by looking at the trends with some of these veterans. And then also throughout the week, we help you set your lineups. So you're going to want to click that subscribe button and stop missing out. But let's look at 10 trendy wide receivers from Week 10. We still have a Monday night game to be played, but we got to look at these guys. Tyler Boyd steps up against the Texans, and T. Higgins was out, and there is a trend with Tyler Boyd. He steps up when either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins is out, and it has been volatile as of late. We had a game or two earlier this season where he did not do that. Irwin stepped up instead. Irwin had a touchdown as well, but Tyler Boyd got his opportunity here, 117 yards, catching 8 balls on 12 targets. Think about this. When Higgins is out of the lineup, he averages about 13 fantasy points, scored 19 here. Also had a down game earlier this year when Higgins was out. So again, it's trending about that way this season. It's up and down. It's a little bit more volatile than what the number says, but he's still able to give you those blow-up performances. Target share-wise on the year, he's not too bad. He's an up-and-down wide receiver when all 3 wide receivers are in because Joe Burrow is starting to heat up. He's a guy, if you need a wide receiver off waivers and Higgins is out, or if you just need a wide receiver off waivers and he's there, you might be able to just throw him in as a what-the-heck play because there's volume in this offense. Burrow's good, and you know what? He could cross the goal line, or it could be a game where he gets more targets than expected because it's not like Burrow is afraid to target him. We know Jamar Chase gets a lot of targets. We know Higgins gets a lot of targets, but there are games where he scores fantasy points, and there are games where he gets more opportunity than expected because Joe Burrow trusts him, and Tyler Boyd's not a bad wide receiver. Demario Douglas is trending up still. 7 targets in the 2 prior games and 9 targets in this game. He's getting workload. Kendrick Bourne out for the season. Good confirmation bias here that he's a solid waiver wire claim. If he's still on waivers and you need a wide receiver who's getting about, I'd say 6 to 10 targets a game, that's a good wide receiver to look at. And then if you get fantasy production, it really depends on what goes on in that matchup and whether they can convert on those pass attempts. But he's getting volume right now. He had 6 catches for 84 yards, scored 14.4 fantasy points. Nothing grandiose there. About high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 level there. But still, you're getting some production from Douglas, a free chip. CeeDee Lamb's going on a stellar streak here, just going off in these last 3 games. 158 yards in Week 8, 191 in Week 9, and 151 yesterday against the Giants, just being targeted like crazy. 11 catches, 151 yards, and 1 touchdown. He is getting buoyed with targets. He's getting those opportunities. He's looking elite. He's looking like he's hitting his draft capital where the Cowboys drafted him at. One of the top wide receivers in fantasy football right now. And then looking at the fantasy production, Week 8, 41 points. Week 9, 28. And then on Week 10, 39. Just going off right now. He's a hot commodity. You're holding on tight. You're not selling high. You're just loving CeeDee Lamb. Keenan Allen. You spam him with targets. And this is another thing about Quentin Johnston. He's not getting those opportunities because you can spam Keenan Allen. They spam him. And there are games this year where we know he got spammed. And they just spam him with targets. He get those opportunities. And as long as he's healthy on the field and they're in a matchup where they feel like they can spam him with targets, they're going to do it. We've seen it a few times this year. We even saw it last week a little bit. But they will just give him target after target after target. And that's what this offense will do with him and Eckler a little bit. But Keenan Allen will get spammed, and that's a good thing. Now we're looking at Mike Evans, and I love talking about Mike Evans because he was falling in drafts. He was one of those players we were looking at in the offseason because he was falling in drafts, and then we wouldn't touch him just to see how far he would fall because he would fall way past ADP. And now we're reaping the rewards here. And we've been all season long, still getting air yards, still getting deep targets, getting those YOLO balls from Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans is a big play waiting to happen on any given snap. Jaden Reed, and this is more about the Packers wide receivers. They didn't really hit, but he got you 19 fantasy points. And like I say about these Packers wide receivers every week, and this is more confirmation bias about that, you got to jumble them up. They're a mixed bag. You don't know which one you're going to pull out, but one's going to give you a little bit of something. One's going to be mid. One's going to bust. Jaden Reed gave you a little bit of something, almost 20 fantasy points, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. And I was expecting one of these guys to do something against the Steelers. I think everybody was. You just didn't know which one was going to do it. It was a Jaden Reed week. Noah Brown went off, 172 yards on 7 catches. And this game script did what we said it was going to do, and it was going to go off the hinges. And they got 57 total points, and we were expecting this game script to go off. We did not know which Texans wide receiver would go off, and we just knew one of them would, because CJ Stroud doesn't care. CJ Stroud will throw it to you. If you're downfield, you're remotely open, he's going to toss it your way. He's a good quarterback, and that's what good quarterbacks do. And they make it hard, unless you have an elite wide receiver, to really peg one down. Noah Brown with another good week. He needs to be off waivers now. He needs to be off waivers. And you know what? You're taking shots at these Texans wide receivers. Christian Kirk, another big week here, and a matchup where the Jaguars were behind a lot, but was getting targets. Again, a sneaky play this year, a little bit up and down. Got you a high-end wide receiver through results. Kyle Phillips is a player you may want to pay attention to, especially in deeper fantasy leagues. But Will Levis is starting to slow down from that debut performance. It's not hitting as well. He still saw 5 targets. He's still getting targeted a fair clip, not a lot. 5 targets this week, 5 targets last week, 3 the week prior. He's getting opportunities, though. He's that outlet wide receiver. If you're hurting, I say more like 14-teamer, 16-teamer. You may want to look at Kyle Phillips. 12-team leagues, it's going to be really hard to make that decision. It's going to be really hard to even look at this and make sense out of it. But deeper leagues, Kyle Phillips has a trend line where he's seeing more snaps, more targets, something you want to look at. We have to look at a tight end here because we do not have many trends at tight end, but Trey McBride is getting opportunities. Kyler Murray's back. He's looking at Trey McBride's way. 9 targets in this game, and McBride has been up and down, but it's a good up and down because when he's up, it's top-tier production, and that's very good for a tight end. That is very good. 131 yards on 8 catches. Solid. Should be getting opportunities. You're looking at a year 2 tight end who's developing, looking good, top-tier draft prospect, and is coming into his own, developing, and as a player we talked about highly when he was coming out of the draft. Trey McBride's that dude. Don't let him sit on waivers if he's still there. Should be rostered in most leagues. Should be sitting there on a roster. If not, pick him up and just play with him for the rest of the season. Those are 10 trendy pass catchers from week 10. Some of them are hits, some of them are pickups, some of them are stashes, some of them are holds, some of them are studs, but we're just going over the trends. We will hit the waiver wire heavy tomorrow on Tuesday, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that content, so you can get that information. I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.